In the culturally diverse Dutchtown neighborhood of St. Louis's South Side, tucked away in a relatively quiet corner of Marquette Park, sits a quaint little building. At a glance, you might take it to be a nursing home or a repository or maybe the headquarters of some outdated government agency. But that little gem of a building is actually the Thomas Dunn Learning Center, and it's been a fixture in the area for over 25 years. Thomas Dunn was born in Cumberland, England in 1842. In his later years, he'd become known as a humanitarian and philanthropist, but his life wasn't always easy. He spent his early years in a poor, rural area where his first job was splitting and hauling wood for $1.50 a day. His parents, James and Mary Dunn, decided to move their 8 children to Canada, and in 1864, at the age of 21, Thomas Dunn came to St. Louis with little money and no job prospects. During that time period, the country was still engaged in civil war. Throughout the entirety of the war, St. Louis was under pressure because it was considered a borderline city. Still in development, many were concerned that open military conflict could lead to the destruction and ruin of the city. While that never happened, the war caused significant damage to the city's commerce, especially the Confederate blockade of the Mississippi River. Dunn's search for work took him in several directions. He worked as a railroad newsboy, he sold short wood for train engines, he worked at a general store on Market Street, which is where he also slept, in a makeshift bunk under the counter. After 10 years, Dunn was able to establish himself. He invested in real estate and other business ventures. In 1874, he established Dunn's Mercantile and Loan Company at 9th Street and Franklin Avenue, selling clothing, jewelry, and making loans. By 1929, Thomas Dunn had amassed a fortune, but he never forgot the hard times of his youth. He turned his focus on charitable enterprises. He purchased a red brick building at the corners of Ewing Avenue and Locust Boulevard. The building, which had previously served as the Washington University Dental School, would soon serve a very different purpose. On August 2, 1930, the first boy is welcomed into the Thomas Dunn Memorial's home for working boys. On March 2, 1931, only 7 months after establishing a legacy that would change so many lives, Thomas Dunn died of pneumonia. He was 88 years old. He is entombed in the Dunn Mausoleum at Bellefontaine Cemetery. In 1958, extensive safety modifications were required to meet new city codes. The cost of the modifications were extremely prohibitive, and there was a declining need for supervised housing among the boys. The board of directors voted to close the home as soon as the current residents could be relocated. Once the decision was made to close the boys' home, the board began looking for ways to properly use Thomas Dunn's Memorial Fund. Between 1964 and 1990, the Memorial Fund was used to provide adult education throughout the St. Louis region. First, through the Dunn Marquette Recreation Center, then through more than 50 additional cooperating agencies. Free instructional courses were offered, covering more than 100 subjects each year. In 1990, returning more closely to Thomas Dunn's wish of establishing educational facilities, plans were developed for the construction of the Thomas Dunn Learning Center. The Learning Center is designed to sustain a tradition of service in an urban space and strengthen the mutually beneficial partnership with the city of St. Louis. The center would be accessible to the disabled and have secure, lighted parking. Its classrooms would accommodate large group lectures and presentations.
I want to welcome everybody to this beautiful day of dedication for the Thomas Dunn Learning Center. After 3 years of searching for a new home, planning for it, and finally building it, we have accomplished our goal of finding a safe, accessible, beautiful environment for expanding opportunities of enriching the lives of our citizens through education. I know that Thomas Dunn, our founder, would be very proud of our accomplishment and would give his blessing to this building dedication.
The physical design of the Learning Center would allow it to fit in with and enhance the surrounding environment. There would be a renewed spirit of discovery as the adult education program expands to even greater dimensions in the years to come.